please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
Welcome back. Well, back home on the Wall Street, it was a negative close for all the major indices after gaining in early trade amidst uncertainty over the government formation in Karnataka. Now, the Nifty and the Sensex ended with minor losses while the Bank Nifty closed flat. Midcaps saw the maximum selling pressure with the index down by nearly 1% in trade. But then there are a lot of global as well as domestic cues lined up for the day today. And Sonia joins us to take us through all of that. Good morning, Sonia.
Hi, good morning. You don't know what happened yesterday, right? I mean, it was all over the place. There was so much volatility. As you rightly pointed out, we reversed our gains, or the Nifty reversed its gains to close absolutely flat. In terms of cues, there was a big swing yesterday, and the expectation is that volatility could continue today as well. A lot of the markets will now start tracking a lot of the global and macro cues, and in that sense, there are a lot of negatives to begin today. So the rupee has weakened quite a bit. It's now at 68.07. Post the Karnataka polls, there was a big slide that you saw in the rupee overnight. There was a big fall in the US markets as well. After 8 straight days of gaining, the Dow actually dropped about 193 points overnight, down almost about 0.8%. Brent crude continues to trade, at elevated levels of 78 plus. There was a minor dip that we saw in Brent crude yesterday on some signs of ample supply despite the OPEC cuts. But nevertheless, it bounced back to above that $78 per barrel level. Now, across the board, there was one very important trigger that took place yesterday. The US 10-year Treasury yield jumped to its highest level since 2011. It's now well above that 3% mark. And because of that, across the board, equities, the credit markets were all under pressure. Gold hit a fresh 2018 low as well because the dollar got lifted because of rising yields. So all of this could perhaps put pressure across the Asian and the Indian markets too. For our own markets, we have been facing resistance at that 10,900 mark, and that perhaps could continue because of weak global and macro cues.
All right, Sonia, thanks a lot for that. Individual stocks, I'm sure you're watching out for a lot of them.
Yes, I am. In fact, yesterday PNB came towards the end of close, but I expect that stock could be under further pressure today as the market digests those horrific numbers. Credit Suisse has downgraded the stock to a neutral, says the company could incur losses in FY19 as well because of the higher provisions. In terms of earnings today, it's going to be a heavy day in the metal sector. So, of course, we have ITC from the FMCG basket, but we have Tata Steel, Hindalco, JSW Steel, there's TVS Motor from the broader market, so keep an eye out on that. In terms of earnings post-markets, Britannia actually had a decent set of numbers in line with estimates. Revenue growth of 13%, margin steady at 15.6%. I expect that stock to be in the green today. Endurance Tech delivered a very strong set of numbers. Remember, its biggest client is Bajaj Auto, which has been doing well. So, because of that, Endurance also delivered a revenue growth of almost 30% on a consolidated basis. The margins went up almost 160 basis points year on year. MRPL had a weak set of numbers. The revenue saw a muted growth of 7.6%. The EBITDA was down. But the other set of numbers I liked was Crompton Consumer. Good numbers, as Anisha told us, a revenue growth of 13%. The margins also have improved to about 14.5% or so. So, I expect that stock to be in the green as well.
Okay, Sonia, thank you so much for that. For all the cues as well as the stocks that will be in focus today. Looks like maybe it is going to be a volatile day of trade yet again today. But it is time now for a quick break. Up next, Karnataka's fate in the balance. All the 3 main parties rush to stake claim to form a new government. Details on the other side.
All right, so we're getting early rates come by from Hang Seng. Most of the Asian markets are subdued, and Hang Seng has accelerated its decline, so it's down about 0.75% in excess of 200 points. What has it done to the SGX Nifty? Well, which was indicating a cut of 50 points at the start. Now it has accelerated that cut, so currently indicating a cut of almost 71 points on the SGX Nifty as well. So we'll keep an eye out on cues coming in from the Asian markets and the world indices, but the domestic cues, they will reign supreme. So let's move on to the big political story that we're tracking, Karnataka's fate in the balance. With the BJP falling short of a majority, all the three main parties, including the Janata Dal Secular, which is JDS, and Congress, rush to stake claim to form the new government in Karnataka. All eyes will now be on the governor of Karnataka, Rukmini Rao, our colleague, filed this report with all the latest developments.
I'm in front of Raj Bhavan here in Bengaluru, and be rest assured that this is where all the political action will take place in the coming days. In fact, with the verdict not being in favor of any one single party and no party getting absolute majority, we've seen BJP, the single largest party, come meet the governor and claim stake to form the government, and also going ahead and asking for a week's time to prove their majority. And of course, we also had JDS and Congress come, and JDS, of course, staking claim to form the next government with support of Congress. Now, if we are to look at how things will pan out in the coming days, of course, it's completely up to the discretion of the governor. He can, call either of the parties to come and, form the government. But of course, in all possibility, the vote of confidence on the floor of the House is where both of them will have to go ahead and prove their majority. And also, this entire process of calling one of the parties will completely depend on the governor. Now, the governor, of course, can also go ahead and take legal advice as to which party needs to be called first, being the no hard and fast rule about whether a single largest party needs to be called, or a coalition that claims to have the majority numbers for them. Of course, it's I'm pretty sure that Raj Bhavan and the governor is going to be really busy in the next coming days, and we'll have to wait and watch what really comes out of Raj Bhavan, and who, of course, is called first to show their majority in the floor of the House, and who will form the next government here in Karnataka.
Oh yes, Rukmini, and it's going to be a busy day for you as well going forward as well, given the fact that we'll have to watch out how that story develops. But on that note, let's hear out what BJP Chief Minister candidate B.S. Yediyurappa as well as Congress JDS Chief Minister candidate Kumaraswamy had to say.
We met Governor Anant Kumar, myself, and all our leaders, and because we have got single largest party, and they allow us to prove our majority in the assembly. So we have given the representation and we take proper decision.
ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಅವರು ಯಾವ ಕಾರಣಕ್ಕೆ 2 ದಿವಸ ಟೈಮ್ ಕೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೋ ಕ್ಲೈಮ್ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ನಮಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ. ಅದು ನೀವು ಅವರನ್ನು ಕೇಳಬೇಕು.
We don't know why Yediyurappa has asked 2 days time from the governor. There are already rumors in the air about Operation Kamla. They are experts at that. The 2 days time might be useful in executing Operation Kamla like they did in 2008.
ಕೆಲವು ಆಪರೇಷನ್ ಕಮಲದಲ್ಲಿ ಯಶಸ್ಸು ಕಂಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಆ ರೀತಿ ಈ ಬಾರಿಯೂ ಕಾಣಬಹುದು ಅಂತಕ್ಕಂತ ಒಂದು ವಿಶ್ವಾಸವನ್ನು ಹೊರಟಿರಬಹುದು.
All right, with that, we'll slip into a short break. Come back, we talk about Punjab National Bank. Reports a fourth quarter loss of over 13,400 crores of the first in its history. Slippages exceed the company's market cap.
Welcome back. Well, straight on to some earnings then. Hit by the Nirav Modi and Mehul Choksi fraud case, Punjab National Bank, that one reported a fourth quarter loss of over 13,400 crore rupees, the first time in its history. Abhishek Kothari joins us with more details. Abhishek, the stock was already down 5%, but given the slippages number of over 30,000 odd crores, you expect a deeper red today?
Well, you can expect a deeper red, Anisha. More importantly, PNB has reported an operational loss for the first time in its history. Now, slippages remained elevated at 30,990 crore. That compares to about 3,200 crore in the previous quarter. If you look at the slippages, the fraud-related slippages were at just 7,579. So they have recognized half of what is Nirav Modi's slippages in the current quarter. The RBI's circular-related slippages were at 10,200. 1,200 odd crores, while the other slippages were at 13,000 crores. So even if you remove the gross NPA divergence, slippages are on the higher side, close to 11,000 crore, which compares to about 3,200 crore in the previous quarter. A data trivia is that the slippages are more than the current market cap of PNB. So they have reported elevated slippages which led to gross NPA increasing by more than 50% on an absolute basis, while in percentage wise, gross NPA now stands at 18.4 versus 12.1%. The key factor now to worry is, will RBI put the bank under prompt corrective action? Now, why? Because the CET1 ratio is now below 6%. You look at the current requirements of putting a bank under PCA, capital adequacy ratio has to be between 7.75 to 10.25, and PNB is at 9.2. Net non-performing assets should be more than 9 but less than 12. It is at 11.2, and the leverage has to be more than 25, which is at 24. So overall, provisions are expected to remain elevated, and this has been perhaps one of the worst quarter for PNB. Back to you.
Okay.
All right.
So we will keep an eye out on how the PNB reacts and trade today. But the other stock that will be in focus today will be ITC. Magna, what are you expecting?
Well, the street is expecting a 2% decline in the cigarette volume business, but that's not what will be in focus. We'll also watch out for operational performance of the non-FMCG business. Remember, for whatever it's worth, the non-FMCG business accounts for 10% of the company's operational profits, and there is a strong thrust put by the management on its FMCG, FMCG others business, non-cigarette business, that is the hotels business has been doing well, as well as the paper business. So cigarette volumes continuing to witness a 2 to 3% decline. That is something we'll watch out for. Non-tobacco business, like I said, we'll be watching out for that. And the paper business, all the paper companies so far, they've reported good set of numbers. In fact, even Century Textiles in its paper division did fairly well. So that is something we will be watching out for. Total income growth of 3% seen, EBITDA seen higher by about 8.5%. We can expect a margin expansion of close to 200 basis points. That is primarily on account of the price hikes that the company has taken in its cigarette portfolio and the reduction of losses in its non-tobacco portfolio. Net profit as a result of that seen higher by 8%. So cigarette volumes, the company does not explicitly mention it, and even in the segments, the cigarette revenue growth will not be comparable. So one has to infer it via the growth seen in cigarette business EBIT. Cigarette business EBIT is seen higher by about 7 to 8%. If that does come by, one can infer that the volume growth is in line with expectations. Volume decline, if you must. FMCG others, that should grow by about 9 to 12%. And let's see how the FMCG's others EBIT pans out. That is something we'll watch out for. ITC at 26 times 2-year forward earnings has value, but earnings growth has to come by from prevent it from being a value trap. So that is something we'll watch out for.
Okay, so cigarette EBIT increased by 7 to 8%, signifying a cigarette volume decline of 2 to 3% is something that we will keep an eye out on. Thank you, Mangalam, for that. But moving on and talking about another company that will be reporting its numbers today, TVS Motors will come out with its good fourth quarter earnings. Sonia joins us to take us through the expectations. Sonia, good morning. A strong volume-led growth is what we're expecting?
Yes, we are. In fact, it's expected to be quite a good quarter for TVS Motor. As you rightly pointed out, the volume growth has been stellar this time around. A 32% growth is what we've seen across the board, actually, whether it's scooters, motorcycles, three-wheelers, the volume growth has been very good. In fact, for three-wheelers, the entire sector has done well. Permits have opened up in various states. So three-wheeler volumes have gone up by almost 70%. A lot of export markets have picked up for three-wheelers, you know, the African markets like Nigeria, etc. And that has aided the sentiment this time around. Because of all of this, the operating leverage will improve, so the margins are expected to do better. Remember, for TVS, the big problem over the last many years has been the fact that they've not been able to get above the 6 to 7% margin level. Now, if you look at the margin trend, over the last 3 quarters, they've managed to stay between the 7 to 8.6% level. And this time around as well, we're expecting the margins to come in at about 8.5 to 8.6% mark. If that happens, then the stock could see an upside. Remember, the stock has lost quite a bit of ground this year. It's down almost 20% for the year. So it has a bit of elbow room to sort of move on the upside if there is a positive surprise. Realizations expected to go up, as I said. They did undertake price hikes as well. That could boost their realizations too. And remember, year on year, the margins will look very good because Q4 margins same time last year was dented because of the BS4 transition changes that took place, and they had some provisions there. So all in all, expect a good quarter for TVS Motor.
All right, good quarter expected for TVS Motors. We'll keep an eye out on that. But let's dip into a short break. Come back on the other side. We'll talk about more earnings, previews and reviews. Stay with us.